Hey guys, what's up? 2-Bit Jesus here, and welcome to another 2-Bit podcast. And today I want to kind of talk about, I guess you could say, the future of home consoles, or is there a future for home consoles? Lately I've been noticing a lot of buzz going around with the Nintendo NX, the PS4 Neo, and of course the Xbox Scorpio. And I'll go through all three of those here in just a little bit. Kind of my thoughts of where I think they're going with it and what I think maybe they should do. But first and foremost, is there a future for home consoles? It seems pretty bleak now because, with the PS4 Neo, it's really just a slightly souped up PS4, and it's mainly geared towards the PlayStation VR, which in my opinion is a whole other sideshow. It's not like the main road for Sony. I think it's a side road. Maybe Sony thinks it's the main road. I think they do. I think that they think that's what they're really wanting to invest in. I don't see VR becoming the mainstay for gaming. It just unless they can make it extremely inexpensive, which I doubt. I think it'll be another 10 years or so until you can make that technology very inexpensive for everyone to be able to buy and enjoy. But right now, no way. What it takes to have a really good VR experience, it's too expensive for the average Joe and Jane. But Microsoft actually said this with their Xbox Scorpio, that they are not doing future they're wanting to put an end to console generations and instead do upgrades in between, like say every 3 or 4 years. Instead of it being the next generation, it's just an Xbox, but better guts in it and all that. So they say there's no new generations because I guess it's all going to be the same. It's just going to be everything is forwards compatible, which is good. That means all of your games you buy for your Xbox One today and your Xbox One S today are going to be playable on the Scorpio. And all of your controllers are going to be forwards compatible. So anything you bought, you don't have to leave behind. That's great. That is actually really good. But the problem with this is I believe personally, innovation is going to kind of take a nosedive, isn't it? As far as hardware design, it's just like, sure, it's just a let's face it, especially the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are just glorified gaming PCs. So yeah, so there's not much, I guess innovation that can go on. But I kind of think, maybe it's just the old school in me, but it was always interesting to see what the new console looked like and what the controller looked like. And it seems like now we're settling into just the kind of same old. Like it's going to be the basic Xbox controller design and probably the basic Xbox UI, except updated and a little bit better, than the last one, but still just the same thing. So it's going to you're not going to really see anything new. And that's kind of, in my opinion, something that's a little bit of a bad thing. Technically, there will be new generations. It's just they're cutting it in half. Where before a console generation, you'd usually have 6 to 7 years in between consoles if they were fairly successful. If it was an unsuccessful console, you would probably see maybe 4 or 5 years till the next one. But for the most part, home consoles, it's always been 6 to 7 years. And pretty much what Microsoft is doing now is cutting that in half. So instead of coming out with new hardware every 6 to 7 years, you're looking at a 3 to 4 year period where the Scorpio is going to come out. They're going to have that out on the market for about 3 to 4 years as their premium piece of hardware, and then something else is going to come out to replace that. Pretty much what's going to happen, you have the Xbox One S, which is more your economy model, and the Scorpio is going to be your premium model. And I guarantee you 3-4 years from the Scorpio's launch, the Scorpio will be then the economy model where the Xbox One S is today, and their new Xbox model will be the premium model. And as I said before, Sony is heavily going through to VR. It remains to be seen. Maybe they'll get bored with it and then go back and try to make consoles again, but I don't the financial trouble that Sony is still in, or I shouldn't say trouble, but their uncertainty. I doubt they're going to be able to invest and produce powerhouse consoles like they used to. It's Sony's last hurrah to deliver a powerful state-of-the-art, console. Not saying they couldn't do it. They could probably still do it if they put their minds and money to it, but is the motivation there now? And I don't think Sony has the same motivation. Hell, even Sony's the head of PlayStation has said, someone asked about what's the PS5 going to look like, and he said, if there's a PS5. You know what? From here, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and talk about the Nintendo NX. We'll start with them first. And from what I've been seeing about the NX, it looks like it's going to be another gimmick, which I really don't think Nintendo should do. Nintendo, come on. Just give us a basic controller. Give us a controller again. A controller that we can put in our hands and play games. Alright, no more of this gimmick shit. Okay? For the love of fucking God, stop it. It's just we love your games. Your games are awesome. You got the best exclusives. Period. The best exclusives. But this gimmick shit is killing you. And you don't even have to release a, all-powerful console. You can still release... I think the NX should be on par with the PS4. So, yeah, you're not going to be as powerful as the Neo, and definitely not as powerful as the Xbox Scorpio, but you're still going to be like PS4 level, and you're coming out with those great games, and if it's just a normal controller, you're going to do great. The third parties are going to come back. It's going to be awesome. But from what I've been seeing, I kind of like the idea of them merging the two. They're merging their mobile and their home console. That's cool, but I would like for when I plug it up to my TV just to be able to use a normal controller. No touchpads, no Wiimotes, none of that. Just let me use a normal controller. And when I want to go when I want to go on the go, then I could just take the pad with me, because that's what it sounds like. I looked at some of the designs, and these are just rumors and speculation, but I looked at some of the patent designs, and it essentially looks like a 3DS a little bit mixed with the Wii U gamepad. So it looks like the NX is going to be like the gamepad, but it can somehow hook up to your TV, and you can play games on the TV. There's not going to be an actual console or whatnot, and that the pad's going to be modular, meaning you can take parts out and put parts of the controller in. Like I saw, it looked like you could take a D-pad out and put it in. Maybe you could have 2 D-pads and maybe 2 analog sticks or something, so you could switch things out. Which, I guess is cool, but at the end of the day, maybe it's just because I'm old school. I just want to sit down on my couch with a controller and play. I don't want to mess around with any modular crap. So yeah, I think if the Nintendo NX, of course, still delivering those great first-party exclusives that Nintendo is famous for, combined with at least being on par with this gen, at least being on par with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and for God's sake, at least for the home console version of this hybrid portable / home console creature Frankenstein that you're creating, Nintendo, please let us have just a normal controller to play with at home, and then you can take the gamepad with you, the modular gamepad with you on the go, and use that. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe it'll look something like that, and I guarantee you will have a really good system on your hands, and you'll sell and you'll be successful, despite if the Scorpio and the PS4 Neo are leagues above you as terms of power. It doesn't matter about power, it matters about the games. I still believe at the end of the day, and actually have a point on that, but I'll get to that at the end of the video. I already stated all my opinions on the PS4 Neo. Like I said, I think that this is just I really think the PS4 Neo is just a stopgap to just try to continue the success of the PS4. From what I've seen on some of the sales, especially Sony hasn't really talked much. I think the PS4 has peaked as far as its sales have gone. PS4s are still selling fairly well. They're still selling fairly well, but it's kind of plateaued and they're not putting up the kind of monthly numbers that they used to. And so I think, you might be entering a market saturation point here where everyone who was interested in buying a console, and especially everyone who was interested in buying the PS4, have bought them. And there's a few stragglers here and there, but you've pretty much reached all the customers that you can reach. And I think the PS4 Neo is their way of coming out with some new hardware and, sell it to some more people, especially a lot of people who are going to start adopting 4K. So I think that's smart of Sony, because that's one of the things Sony is pushing is 4K. So it's smart, and Sony's always had a history of doing this. The PS2 helped Sony push DVDs. The PS3 helped Sony push Blu-rays. And now they're going to use the PS4 Neo to help push 4K, the 4K medium. So, there is that, but I also think it's like a stopgap. It's a slightly more powerful PS4, and that's going to extend the life of the PS4 console for at least a few more years. It'll give them another 3 or 4 years till they either, I guess they're doing it to either, see if VR is a huge thing, and also to extend the life of the PS4 until they figure out what exactly they're going to do in the future. So I think that's really what it is, because Sony right now with the PS4 is on top, so they don't really have to make any big moves. So they're kind of playing it. I think it's smart to kind of play it safe, try to extend the PS4's life as much as you can so you can figure out what you're going to do, and not rock the boat too much because you're at the top. So moving on, like I said, with the Xbox Scorpio. I think it's Microsoft adopting a more kind of PC mentality, even, dare I say, a Steam machine idea, where they're going to be coming out with pretty much just essentially gaming PCs. Every 3 to 4 years you can get the new model, and it'll be more powerful and be able to do your dishes and open up your cans and do all kinds of stuff. It'll be a new model every year with new bells and whistles, but essentially be the same, platform, so to speak. What I mean by that is, like, all of your games are forwards compatible, your controllers, accessories, everything. The UI is going to be exactly the same. Maybe they'll keep updating it. So I guess it's kind of a hybrid. It's kind of like the PC model / phone model. And what I mean by phone model, not like you enter a contract and you get the new model phone free because you have a contract with Apple or whatnot, like they used to. But what I mean by that is essentially the basic foundation for the iPhone is there. You can get on your iPhone that you have today is essentially going to have this operate the same. The new iPhone of the future is essentially going to operate the same way the iPhone you have today is. It's probably going to be just a little bit sleeker looking, going to have a bit more power to it, maybe even load things faster, but the user interface doesn't really change much. I think Xbox is going to have the same situation. Like I said, this is, it's I guess a cool idea. So instead of having to wait 3 to 4 years to get for people who are obsessed with power, it's a cool idea. So instead of having to wait 6-7 years for the next big, piece of hardware, Xbox is going to be giving it to you every 3 or 4 years. Now, they haven't said every 3 to 4 years, but this is what I'm speculating. I'm speculating they will, every 3 to 4 years, roll out a new version of the Xbox. And they're going to drop the Xbox One name. It's just going to be Xbox. Maybe they'll come up with cool little code names or little names here and there for it, but I believe that is where they're going with it. And on to what my point was I was going to make with all this long rambling and thinking of where each of the big three are going. And that is my extreme concern. Nintendo is not guilty of this, but Sony and Microsoft are. Of that, it really seems, and what I'm worried about, Sony is very guilty of this with the PS4 and their exclusives. There's not a whole lot out there. They have a huge amount in development. You never know when they're coming out. So they're just sitting there going, look at all these cool games that you're going to play, maybe, hopefully, someday soon. They're in development, though. We don't know when they're coming out because we just said in development, so we don't have a solid date yet. Microsoft, God bless them. They're really trying to get their first party off the ground, but it's just not there yet. It's just like you get an A for effort, but I'll give you a C for actual, what you've actually produced. You got some decent first party here and there, but it's nowhere near Nintendo's level. Nintendo is the all-time world heavyweight champ of exclusives. You buy a Nintendo console or, you buy a Nintendo handheld, there are great games that you can get for them that are out. And that's what I'm worried about, with especially like you have the PS4 Neo coming out and the Scorpio coming out. Usually when you have new hardware coming out, there's a game or a couple of games that you have come out along with that console or piece of hardware to kind of show you what the system is capable of. And I feel like the game industry is getting more towards a model of, look, we have the most powerful system. Look, this is the chipset that's inside the console. That means theoretically it can do all this other stuff, instead of like, say the Scorpio's forefather, the original Xbox, had Halo, the original Halo. And they were like, what is the Xbox? What does it do? And then you'd boot up Halo in it, and like, here's Halo. Here, look at this awesome game. And it's like, if you want to play Halo, you got to get an Xbox. Same thing, Nintendo. You want to play Mario. You want to play Zelda. You want to play Donkey Kong, you want to play, any of these other games, you got to get a Nintendo console. And PlayStation, to their credit, they've had some too. Like, you have the Uncharted series, for instance. But I feel Nintendo's the only one who kind of sticks to that model of that. And they kind of build their console. Nintendo seems to at least, even though sometimes I don't like the gimmicky controls, at least Nintendo builds their console around the gameplay. And that's what pushes the hardware. That's what pushes the innovation, where I feel like now they're relying more on pixel counts and GPU power and all that. So it's just like, does the game look cinematically appealing to people? And so like I feel like gameplay and game development innovation is going to start taking a nosedive, because it seems like the only thing people care about, or at least the people who are running these companies care about, is let's put a powerful piece of hardware out on the market and it'll sell itself. And they don't seem to really worry about making sure the games are there anymore. And it doesn't seem like the games are what are pushing the consoles anymore. Where back in the day, because I'm old school, the games would push the console. Super Mario Brothers 3 sold the original Nintendo. It pushed that hardware, Sonic pushed the Sega Genesis. Super Mario World, even F-Zero, games like that, they pushed the Super Nintendo. Super Mario 64 pushed that hardware forward. Even Super Mario 64 was one of the reasons why the 64's controller was designed the way it was. And all that. You see what I mean? Like, gameplay innovation, how people actually play and interact with games, is what used to be the norm. It used to be what pushed how the hardware was created, where I feel now it's just like, let's make sure that it's powerful enough and that the graphics are visually appealing, and so I think gameplay and games overall are going to kind of get a little stale compared to the days of yesteryear. But anyway, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll still be powerful enough hardware and game developers will still innovate, but I feel like we might be losing something by focusing a lot on power and not enough on, are the games fun? Are the games worth playing? Might be nice to look at, but at the end of the day, are you going back to play it, even after you've beaten the game? But yeah, that'll be my final thoughts there. And please leave me your thoughts in the comment section below, where you think the video game industry is heading. And more importantly, do you see that too? Do you see that, that trade-off of focusing more on hardware and power? Are we losing a bit of the innovation of gameplay mechanics and whatnot? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this long-winded video here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. and I will see you guys again. Stay safe and play on. Hey guys, 2Bit here. Just wanted to say thanks for watching, and if you really enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Now, if you want to watch more 2Bit reviews, click the video on the left. And if you enjoy discussing and debating the latest topics in gaming and geek culture in general, click the link on the right to check out our 2Bit podcast videos. And if you'd like to join the 2Bit community, click the subscription button in the corner. That way you won't miss a thing. Anyway guys, thanks for watching.